Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Taryn. How goes it?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing great. A little bit of sun, but otherwise doing fine. Should not have been on the patio quite as long as I was yesterday.
Mm-hmm. So, what are we doing today?
I think we were doing our Saturday questions today.
Okay, that sounds interesting. And
Excelente.
we have the expert here, so we can get the right answers. You are the expert.
Awesome. So again, to reiterate, these are just some of the questions that you ran into on the Saturday working
Yep.
here, and you just like to discuss so people know, so they don't feel silly asking questions. Of course, no questions are silly.
That's
There's a
right.
lot of misinformation everywhere, so it's more important to get the right answer than
Than getting any information from Google. So, starting with the first question. So, it was about LVP.
Okay.
So, it's regarding its install.
Mhm.
So the question was like which is better installation method? Is it the loose lay one or the glue down one?
Okay.
So
Now, I guess the question then I would have, they're just asking overall, or is it for a specific application?
like first they asked it as an overall thing,
Right.
and then they asked a specific question because they were looking for like installing the LVP on their main floor
Mhm.
as they have the same LVP in their basement.
Mhm.
So they have the loose lay installation method in their basement.
Mhm.
So that's why they were asking for if they can do the same loose lay method on their first floor.
Okay.
So,
So I guess we're talking 5 millimeter
Yeah.
LVP, technically mostly loosely. Okay. Well, realistically,
Mhm.
we tried to do as much glue down as possible, right?
Okay.
We used a pressure sensitive adhesive, so it's still easy to replace the boards. Now, because the challenge can be, and the reason for it is multifold, obviously. So first of all, we keep portraying these floors as being waterproof, right?
That's
And yes,
correct.
the LVP is completely waterproof. Put it into an aquarium full of water, it's not going to swell. The problem, though, is, in normal wood construction, you have a wooden subfloor underneath, and the wooden subfloor is not waterproof.
That's correct.
Now, of course, the boards are nice and tight together and everything. And so it's not like you get much water, but should you have a major spill on that floor, I'm always concerned about that water getting between the boards and into the floor. And that glue actually creates a little bit of a barrier, right?
Yeah.
Or retarder. So it sort of slows down the absorption of water into there, allows it to dry naturally. So if you don't glue it, you don't get that benefit. Then the next thing, in our opinion, is luxury vinyl plank is wonderful stuff. Okay. But of course has limitations. Now, one of the challenges with it is that unlike wood or laminate, it doesn't expand and contract with moisture because it's waterproof and it's plastic in essence. But it does expand and contract with heat. We're not talking heat in the air, although it would affect it. We're talking sunlight,
Sun. Yeah.
right? So, in a basement, you can definitely get away with a lot more loose laying because you don't necessarily have the same size of windows and the amount of sunlight coming into that floor. But my concern is on the main floor, you will still get some of that expansion contraction. And if you don't have that glue, because that glue sort of has a memory, right? It pulls it back into place. Whereas if there's no glue, the boards could expand, push on each other, and create gaps in the floor.
Yeah.
Right? The challenge we run into constantly is that everybody hears glue and they go, oh my gosh, it's going to be so messy. It's so painful. But it's a pressure sensitive glue, right? So the idea is you spread it out over that subfloor of your floor. You actually let it flash, you let it dry. Depending how the humidity level and heat level is in the home, anywhere from 45 minutes to a couple hours, the floor, the glue is actually dried to the point where you walk on it.
Yeah.
So the idea is you glue out the area, you take off, you go for supper, go for lunch, go for whatever, and come back either the next morning or later that day and literally start walking on the floor, putting the planks down.
That's right.
What we found is, compared to like a click system or a floating system, it's about a third faster. And because you're walking on this glue, basically put the board down, step on it. Okay, great. Go to the next one. Right.
Yeah.
So it's not as a big deal as everybody seems to hear when they hear the glues. Right. So again, I would vastly lean more towards the glue down method in that application specifically, although most applications I would anyway, because of the water resistance and then that memory to sort of hold it back in place.
Yeah. And for the basement, like we can do loosely, right? Because if it's on concrete,
Mhm.
so it's not harming anything. If
No, it's not harming anything.
plus there is not much sun there.
Right. Now, again, so when you're doing the loose lay install, right, you're gluing the perimeter of the glue to
Yeah.
sort of try to hold it into place, and then you're not gluing the remainder. If we were to do it as a company, I would still glue it,
Mhm.
right? Would just always do it, give that memory, hold it into place. Still so easy to replace a board. But somebody doing it themselves in their basement, yes, absolutely, not a problem at all.
The other reason is like if it's as you said that they also like contract and then expand with the heat.
Mm.
So they have to like if it's coming out, they have to continuously fix it.
Right.
Which is like very like low chance that it's coming out, but still that they have to fix it. Plus the dust can go underneath.
Right.
So it's
Exactly. It just, the cost of the glue is so minimal. The
yeah.
extra time for the glue is so minimal. I don't see a grand benefit in almost any application to use the loose lay method of no glue.
Yeah, that's the thing. People have that misconception that if they like hear like glue, they're like, no, we don't want glue.
Yeah.
But the advanced technology has like overcome the drawbacks, so we can use glue.
Yeah.
And most of the people are like worried about like the afterward thing as well. Like what if they remove that floor and there will be like mess of glue. But that can also be like dealt with, right?
It can be dealt with, and you bring up a very valid point. So one of the things also, if we're installing one of these luxury vinyl floors over top of, say, a beautiful hardwood or tile or something like that, there's actually an underlay we can put underneath that's similar to like the laminate underlays, where it's like a foam base, but it's just much more dense and very, very thin. And that allows us to put it over top of the floor and then glue to that. So
Yeah.
should they ever decide they want to pull it up, well, you can, again, remove the planks, reuse them somewhere else, resell them, whatever, but you can roll up that roll of the underlay and your floor is still pristine,
Yeah,
right?
that's a perfect idea.
You know, again, in normal applications, if you're going on top of existing lino or something like that, yeah, because you're not necessarily going to be going with hardwood. You don't necessarily ever want to get back to that, 1970s
Lino.
vinyl floor.
Yeah.
So yeah, to install a new hardwood or something on top, you wouldn't bother with the underlay. You'd basically just spread patch over top, just to create, again, a nice flat surface in case the glue, and go from there.
Okay. So I think we got our answer on LVP installation now.
Perfect.
So moving on. It's about laminate.
Okay.
So some customers come and they like ask about laminate. And I had a customer on Saturday was asking like, why laminate is a big no these days? Like why everyone is saying don't go towards laminate?
So as with everything, there's pros and cons. One of the things we're running into lots right now is our suppliers are coming to us with brand new, amazing, fixes everything laminates, right? The main push right now is waterproof laminate. Now, problems, right? Because again, we test everything. We break everything. I want to know how it's going to work before we actually sell it. So we never sell it as waterproof, right? It might be water resistant, but the problem is, so when somebody says it's waterproof, like the luxury vinyl, if it gets lots of water on it, all of these that we've tested so far, and don't get me wrong, there could be something out there that is perfectly waterproof. That's not just pure plastic. It swells. So the water eventually works into the core there and it swells. Now, a lot of them will shrink back when it dries out, right? But the problem is, while it's swollen, it's now weakened. So if you walk on it, you move something across it, you're going to chip, you're going to break that board.
That's correct.
Okay. So calling it waterproof, 72 hours waterproof, garbage. We everything comes, cut a board, put it into my little tank of water there, and just see they all swell. And I've shown so many reps and they're, oh my goodness, I didn't think that would happen like that. It's like, well, you have to test it, right? Stop saying it's waterproof. The next challenge, and this, I'm sure this is most places, but we in Saskatchewan here, we live on gumbo, right? The ground's constantly moving.
That's correct.
So we just don't really have a flat subfloor. Right? So when you have those hills and valleys in that subfloor, yes, you can patch it. Yes, you can self-level it. You can do all sorts of things to it. It might be great today, but it doesn't mean it's going to be great next month.
Yep.
So the problem is, because laminate's rigid, and with the click system, if that joint lined up on one of the valleys, which Murphy's Law states it will be somewhere on that floor, probably in the main walking area, you have a void underneath. So as you walk on it, you're going to keep,
Hearing that sound.
well, not necessarily hearing, but with time, you're actually going to break that joint,
Yeah,
right? Whereas the LVPs that we sell, the 5mm, they conform to any hills and valleys. Like our showroom is a prime example of it. We have a
that's correct.
massive heave in the center. Whereas if we went laminate, we would have major grinding and major self-leveling to do, but we just put LVP over it, and you actually have to point it out to people before they see it,
Yeah,
right? So it's being oversold as being the end-all be-all, and it just has limitations for that. I guess the third is repairability, right? Now, there are some products out there that you can change a board in the middle of the floor if you have expansion spaces, if you have T-molds, if you do all the things that nobody actually wants to do because it doesn't look good.
hmm
But for the most part, if you damage a board, it's always going to be in the middle. You drop a cleaver on it or something. You actually have to take off your baseboard, unclick the floor, change that board, put the flooring back, hope you didn't break anyway, unclicked it, put the baseboard back on, repaint or
that's
touch up,
correct.
right? It's a
Yeah.
lot of work. It's not an easy fix.
hmm
Where there are other products out there, even hardwood, even tile, it's easier to actually repair one of those or replace one of those than it is a laminate because you're unclicking that entire darn floor,
Yeah,
right? So we have laminate here and we do sell some, but I find less and less reason for it.
yeah,
Again, if you talk about the pros though, because it's so hard, because it's so strong, it is more scratch resistant,
yeah, that's correct.
right? So if you have lots of dogs, long nails running on that floor,
hmm
it would be more forgiving than say a luxury vinyl or obviously a hardwood. Again, it's still a floor, it still will mark, but there's that AC or abrasion coefficient level that you can actually determine what's a good product for that application, right? So
Yeah,
the manufacturers keep pushing hard. Oh, everybody's selling laminate, everybody's selling laminates. It's taking over again. And yet every store I talk to and every rep I talk to, they're
hmm
like, yeah, no, it ain't.
yeah.
Still has the
So,
same problems.
so it's just a marketing tactic that it's waterproof.
It's marketing. They're pushing waterproof, just like when a laminate first came out. Oh, basically it doesn't scratch, it doesn't dent. Well, there was massive issues with that because again, over-promising, under-deliver. I'd rather under-promise and over-deliver on
Yeah,
what we do, right? So it just, for the most part, in our opinion, it is not necessarily the right solution for you. Is it easy to install? Absolutely. But again, the glue down LVP is faster,
that's correct.
easier to fix.
Yeah.
It is waterproof. So I just find a hard time to really push somebody towards a product that I've seen so many more faults for it than I do pros to.
Yeah, that's correct. And like, there are some people, they do have like a laminate in their house, like for so many years. So
Mhm.
they're like, we don't have any issue with laminate.
Yep.
So what could be the reason for that?
Well, again, the quality of product,
hmm
because as with everything, there's a huge range of quality of products out there, right? Like, the Pergo or the Audacity lines we carry are spectacular products that will last for so long. The subfloor could be nice and stable. Some houses are like this, some floors like this, right?
Yeah.
You can't really tell one to the next. And some people say, I've had a hardwood for years and it's been spectacular. We actually just recently dealt one. We sold some over 20 years ago
hmm
and now they wanted to change the stairs. Wow, right? Um, so again, everything, there's good product, there's bad product, there's nice level subfloors, there's not level subfloors. And then again, expectation and use. If it's myself, my wife, and 20 kids, well, we're going to be a lot harder on that floor than, say, a retired couple who are maybe here 9 months of the year and somewhere nice and warm the rest of the year, right? It's hard to say.
That's correct. Yeah. It totally depends upon usage, maintenance.
And the product.
Yeah.
If you spent 99 cents a square foot on your laminate, sorry, it ain't going to last the same way as if you buy a good product
Yeah.
that might be closer to the $5, $6 a square foot, looks spectacular, strong as heck, and will last for decades.
So when the customer said this thing, the first thing that popped in my mind is like, maybe it's the manufacturers these days, like everyone wants to be cost effective. So
Yeah.
in past, like the products were really good, but these days they are like making inferior quality products somehow.
And I hear that. And, there are different rules and laws now about what you can put in the core, what you can't. There's off-gassing rules, which are good. Like, we don't want to poison ourselves. But I just think that for the most part, when you talk to somebody who's had a horrible experience with laminate, they bought garbage,
Oh, yeah.
right? You know, if all you drive in your entire life was Mercedes, and then you buy a Pinto, well, your level of expectation, your understanding how things work isn't going to be the same. Now, is Mercedes made the same as well as it was made 20, 30 years ago? Probably,
Yeah.
if not better, right? So again, with the higher quality manufacturers, there's stuff out there that will last forever. But when I'm looking at a very expensive laminate versus maybe a more inexpensive wood, and they're not so much of a difference as a cheap to cheap, again, you have to understand, why am I choosing this product over that product?
Yeah.
But I think that the construction and the quality of it, as long as you keep to higher end manufacturer, you're still fine.
That's correct.
But yes, the cheap ones, if you're trying to fight for that low price just to get something in there, they will cut every corner under the stars to get to that dollar amount.
That's correct. Okay, so we got answers for laminate as well. So the other question is about other like flooring
Mhm.
that's like that we are not selling much these days. So do you have any guess?
Vinyl, sheet vinyl, or
Yeah, that's
lino.
correct.
Referred to colloquially as lino, but sheet vinyl. Yes.
Yeah. So why lino is not considered as a good option these days?
It still is a good option, right? But I think there's some limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so why was sheet vinyl used so much over the years, right? Great for water.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like tile for the most part. Most of them are sort of a tile look. There are some wood looks, but tile. So, and inexpensive.
That's correct.
Okay. The challenge, though, from what I can determine, just looking at the products that are out there, and as the new stuff comes, there's far more technology, far more research, far more development happening in the luxury vinyl space,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you get the waterproof, you get the cost effectiveness, you get the visuals of tile or whatever floor. You can get that in a sheet, in a vinyl plank. The sheet vinyls, obviously, some of them are nice and modern, but I tell you, going through them, 90% of the sheet vinyls that we have, and not just us that are out there, look like they're from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. There are not much updations in their designs.
No. And the other challenge, from a store's perspective, so even if you said sheet vinyl was less money than like a luxury vinyl tile look, because of the waste factors, because sheet vinyl comes primarily in 12-foot wide goods.
Yep.
So if I have a 5x6 bathroom, a normal small little bathroom, instead of buying 30 square feet of luxury vinyl, I have to buy 5x12. I have to buy 72 square feet just to get that space covered,
Yeah.
right? So holy moly, that has a heck of a lot of cost onto it.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, we still do some, right? But sheet vinyl doesn't have the same repairability.
Yeah, that's correct.
The looks are, there's some really nice ones. Most of them aren't quite so nice, in my opinion. Everybody's different. I'm not here to
Every
judge.
customer has different preference.
But again, not everybody, but primarily somebody come in, I'm looking for a new lino for my bathroom. Awesome, beautiful. Go to the displays, start going through the samples. They're like, what else do you have? It's like, well, we can look at this luxury vinyl. They're like, oh, wow, I can do this. I can do that.
Yeah.
I can put a pattern. I can do all sorts of different things. Awesome. Oh, wait, and it's going to be the same or cheaper? It's sort of pushed itself out of the space.
Yeah.
If they kept putting the same beautiful visuals that they can do, like our printing technology now is spectacular.
Yep.
But they just don't seem to do so.
That's correct. So yeah, I had like many customers where they were looking for lino, and when they came to know about LVP, they're like, "This is better product. Why should we go for lino then?"
Mhm.
So
So one of the benefits of a sheet vinyl or a lino
mhm.
are, because they're not individual boards or planks, it is more waterproof,
Yeah.
right? So you do have more waterproofness to it. That being said, should your washing machine explode, or my boys when they were young, to digress a little bit, which I had lino in the bathroom at that time. I got a shout from my wife. My goodness, the bathroom's leaking. Okay, go downstairs. I'm like, my goodness, look at all this water coming down. What the heck is going on? So I go up, and my youngest was in the bathtub taking a cup full of water, pouring it down the vent. Cup full of water, pouring it down the vent. Just so fun doing it at the time, right?
Yeah.
So get the problem. If he had just been pouring down on the floor, yes, the floor is waterproof, but it would still be so much water they'd be getting underneath on the
Yeah.
edges, right? So it's still not the end all be all unless you're coving up and then doing all the stuff we would do for commercial applications. But for residential, it's more waterproof than luxury vinyl. But does it really matter?
Yeah. Because the benefits of getting luxury vinyl plank kind of overshadows lino. So it's better to get LVP. And
Overall,
yeah,
overall.
and it totally depends on the expectations of the customer as well, as
Yep.
we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. So uh as you said that no question is stupid, but I find this question when I was writing it as a stupid question.
Okay.
Because I just like the customer didn't ask this directly,
Yep.
but I figured that he was trying to ask that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what if a customer wants something solid
Mm-hmm.
but can't afford hardwood? What should be our suggestion then?
So somebody wants hardwood but can't afford hardwood.
Yeah, but so he wants hard floor.
Okay.
Yeah, so not like LVP. So it's just a like very thin product. So they want something thick, but not hardwood.
Okay.
So what should be our suggestion then?
Why was he asking that? What was the reason for it? Was it for height transition between different floors, or just he thought thicker is better?
Yeah, that's the thing. They think that thicker is better.
Okay.
Like I know,
Okay,
like
that's a hard one.
yeah, I know the first thing that I should do is like to educate them. Like
Mhm.
even though LVP is like thin, it has some different layers.
Mm.
So that's why it's a better product. So we cannot just say that it's a thin product, so it's not a good product. So it's like a old school thought.
Yeah.
I know.
Very much so, because I know when laminate was first out, right, it was all 8 millimeters. Then they came out with 12s and 14s and 16s and all the SPCs and LVPs. Now they have 6.5, 7.5, 8.5. So my so again, so if it's for height transitions between, totally understand. Use subfloor, build it up. Great, done. And I've been semi-asked this over the years too, and I have to sort of stop myself from sort of getting too caught up in my brain with this. But the reality of it is that the thickness doesn't matter, other than for height transitions, okay?
Yeah.
Because you're not walking on the thickness of it; you're walking on the finish on it,
Yeah.
right? So the quality of either a laminate or even hardwood or all these things, it's in the finish. It's how much durability, how much wear and tear will it take before it starts wearing through, right? And just because it's, 6 inches or 12 inches, it doesn't mean that 12 inches is better. It just means there's more stuff underneath it, right?
Yeah. How does
So,
it matter to us that what's underneath it?
yeah, right. And, for stability, for durability, there's different cores of different products and different pros and cons there. But the thickness doesn't matter. I take a look at, say, Mirage hardwood. We can get a 3/8 inch thick or a 3/4 inch thick.
Mm-hmm.
Is the 3/4 inch thick bigger, better? Sorry. Nope. Same finish, same wood, same looks. It's just if somebody doesn't want as much height transition, great, that's the one to use. Otherwise, use whatever is more cost effective. So that's a difficult question that would more diving into why. If they think, thicker is better, great. Why? Who told you it's better?
Yeah.
In a laminate, even doesn't matter if it's an 8 millimeter or 16 millimeter. You're not walking on the core. You're walking on the finish, the durability of the product itself.
Yep, that's correct.
So
Okay. So that's it for now.
excellent. Well, thank you very much, Taryn. Really appreciate it.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you for answering all the questions.
I'm sure you answered them well on set.
Yeah.